Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up Sis Talk Show Conversations that Connect. I am your host, Angel Charmaine, and this is the place where authors, especially Christian authors, have an opportunity to share the word of their testimony through their written work in order to inspire you to share yours. Every single Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I bring a self published or an indie author into this space so you can meet them and fall in love with them. We will talk about their book and what their book is about. You'll get an opportunity to meet the author and hear his or her voice and so that their story can resonate with you and you can fall in love with them and then go buy their books because that's what we want you to do. We want you to go buy their books. Okay. So tonight I've got a new author in the space. Her name is author Tonya Talesha, and she's written a book entitled She's Thirsty Conversations. Thirsty Conversations. So I'm going to bring her on up so that you all can meet her and we can start this conversation. Hello, 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 Tanya. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining Speak Up Sis Talk Show Conversations that Connect. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. So tonight, Tanya, is all about you. All about you as an author, as a woman. We're going to talk about your book. We're going to talk about this idea of being thirsty and what kind of thirsty conversations we're having. We're
Yes.
going to talk about all that tonight. We also have guests who will join us on the YouTube page. If you are watching via YouTube, please make sure you click the subscribe button and become a part of the Speak Up Sis community. We would love to see you here. So we will also take questions and comments from our guests as well. Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
All right. So we've got a guest right now. So we'll go ahead and say hello to Lene Crawford. She says hello to you all and God bless. Hello, Lene, and thank you for joining.
Hello.
She says hallelujah.
That's good. Yes.
I
Yes. That's
like
praise.
Lene already.
Yes.
Yes. So let's go ahead and get started. And I would like for you to tell the people a little bit about who you are.
Well, my name is Tonya Talesha. That's the author name that I use for my writing. And I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee for a short time. And then my parents moved me and some of my siblings out to a town called in Brownsville, Tennessee. So that's where I grew up at. I currently reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia. However, I've always wanted to be an author and write. I've always had a big imagination. Grew up in a church. Um, yeah, my mom was strict. Yes, and like I said, I've always wanted to be an author. And so a few years ago, around 2019, I was inspired with the word thirsty to come up with my brand called She's Thirsty. And I pretty much kind of like come off of that name and talk about the word thirsty. And in using that word thirsty, it comes from some of the things I've been through, but also the world's view. And then I go over into the spiritual view and what Jesus meant when he talked about being thirsty, in the Bible, because there's a lot of scriptures about thirst. So you got the world's view, but then you got the godly and the spiritual view, and I kind of bring it home.
Okay. All right. So when I first saw clearly when I first saw the name of your business, I was like, she's thirsty. I'm like, this is not the platform.
When I came up with the idea, I was thinking, I don't want to go there. That don't even sound right. How do you mix thirsty with the spiritual? But it's really, it really like thirsty is like a longing and a craving. And
Mhm.
as I got the Holy Spirit inspiration from it, I first got the idea from what would be viewed as worldly thirst. coming
Right.
from some relationships that I had been in.
Hmm.
And then I began to see it in the Bible, um,
Right.
especially starting in John 4 with the woman at the well and Jesus. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration, that I can talk about thirst, because little do people know that they're more thirsty than they think.
Uh-huh.
So, and I know a lot of people don't want to go there, but it really is deeper than you think, that word.
Right. So let's
Mhm.
go there. Let's start because so tell everybody the name of the book.
Thirsty Soul Confessions in Spirit and in Truth.
All right. So before we talk about the book itself, let's talk a little bit about this idea of thirsty because you said in the book in Thirsty Soul Conversations, you're dealing with the world's idea of what thirsty is and what the kingdom's idea of what thirsty is. So let's talk about the world's perspective first. What in the world do you mean when you say she's thirsty according to the world? What does that mean?
Well, as you look on Instagram and you look at music videos and you just look at weird real women in relationships, they do the most for attention in the way they dress, the things they post on social media, and the world is like, she's thirsty, and they're suggesting that it has something to do with the opposite sex trying to get a man or trying to get attention or doing the most. And why that is the way the world look at it, that is true in an aspect, but there is a deeper reason why she's doing that. And I kind of go into that, like why she's doing that. And everybody has their particular reasons. It could be she was molested. It could be that she lacked a relationship with her dad. It could be that, you know, maybe, she's trying to fit in with other people. And that is the worldly view of thirst. They're going to look at it in a sense that it's kind of that they're trying to act out or have sex, like I said. So like I said, you will see people posting pictures, a lot of models, a lot of people in music videos, a lot of people chase people's men, or always chasing a man, or always trying. And if they are in a relationship with a man, they go through one relationship and go to another relationship. And that is what that worldview of thirst is when
Right.
they say that. Because it's like, oh, she being thirsty. She's
Right.
like a whore.
Right.
I hate to
Trying
put
to
it
get
like that.
attention.
Yeah, trying to get that attention. And a lot of times that in doing that, it comes from a deeper place that they may not even realize that that's the reason why they're doing that. And
Right.
so that is the world's view.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I get from the world's view of it. And I talk about that in my book and explain that.
And it's a negative connotation, right? So when they
Yes.
talk about, a thirst trap picture or she thirsty, whatever, it's like it's deemed as negative.
Yeah.
You're doing too much trying to get the attention of a man or a man trying to get the attention of a woman in a very negative sense. So okay, we get that. Now you say you talk about it in terms of a spiritual context. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Well, before you do that, good evening, Chris. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello. How are you?
And Ashley is here as well. She says this is an interesting topic. I think it is as well. Once I realized what the book was about, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, this will be a great conversation.
Yeah, because it catches people. It catches people attention, definitely. And
It
that's why I was
does.
conflicted even in writing it, being a church girl and raising up in the Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. So it's
Uh-huh.
like, do you even go there, and how do you go there? But I
How do you
realized
go
that
there?
transparency was the key. So yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Mhm.
So let's get to the spiritual side. What are we talking about when you say the thirst in the spiritual sense?
I define it in my book, because as I got the inspiration, I defined it as being, it's like a longing, a desire, and it's like a desire of wanting something or someone, and we all want something, and sometimes in our natural thirst we go for it in the opposite sex, but that's not exactly how you quench that thirst, because we all have a longing and a desire and a want for something and someone, be it love, be it fulfillment. That's ultimately what we're all looking for. And that is what Jesus was saying, that none of these things in the world, whether they make you happy temporarily or not, or whether they, it seems like it's making you happy, they're really not the things that's meant to fulfill you. And so that deep thirst can only be satisfied with that living water, like he told the woman in John 4.
Okay, now that makes sense. Now, so as I'm listening to you, it almost sounds like being thirsty is being thirsty. It's how you are choosing to quench that thirst.
Yes,
And
that's
are we on the same page
we're,
here?
we're ultimately on the same page. You caught it. That is what I'm saying. It's just what you doing to quench that thirst.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely on the same
Gotcha.
page. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
So let me ask you this. This is your first piece of work? Is this
yes,
your first book, right?
yes.
Okay. What made you decide that you wanted to write a book? Okay, I know you got this idea of thirsty, but why in the book format?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer, like I said, and I always thought I knew I was gonna write. I just thought it was gonna be fiction because that's really what I read a lot of growing up. However, as I got older, I like, memoirs and things like that, reading other people's stories, I began to read other formats of books. However, I didn't want to talk about myself or talk about, especially personal things like something about being thirsty. But one day around 2018, 19, like a year ahead before I came up with the inspiration of thirsty. I'm sitting in my car and I'm just thinking, I'm like, I know I need to write a book. And I didn't know what it was going to be about, but I knew I need to write a book, stop procrastinating on it. And that word thirsty hit me. And I kind of had the word thirsty from someone who I was last in a relationship actually said I was being desperate and acting thirsty. And at first, I'm like, I didn't take it like I act thirsty. Yeah, I want love and longing, but I never looked at myself as a thirsty woman. I'm not perfect, but I never tried to chase on my body's man. It wasn't my intent to
Right.
sleep with men. But that last relationship, that word kind of stuck with me. Then the spirit one day, while sitting in my car, came up with talk about your life and the relationships you've been in and what thirsty is. And I'm like, no, I don't. How am I going to talk about myself? I was a little afraid. And that's when I realized that it was God impressing on my spirit to dive deep into thirsty. And that is how I came up with, that I was going to talk about thirsty. And like I said, I didn't want to because in my book, there's a lot of intimate details about some relationships I've been in,
Hmm.
but that was my story. And
Hmm.
as I wrote, I began to heal along the way as writing. And I realized even in my writing that wow, I did all this. I'm like, I really had those experiences. I was what the world view as thirsty. I was doing the most and thinking a man could satisfy me and thinking he could do this for me. But in the end, ultimately, it was Jesus.
Mm.
And then it was like, God, I don't want to write this. I don't want to write this. And it's like, nobody can condemn you. Romans 8:1, there's no condemnation now that you're in Christ. And I
Hmm.
had that in my spirit as I wrote it. Like, if they're going to judge you, they have to judge themselves first.
Oh,
So, it, and then I read John 4 with the woman at the well. He
uh-huh.
gave me the inspiration from her. And it was like, the Samaritan woman, rather people want to acknowledge her or see themselves as her. The Samaritan woman is a lot of modern women. Is a lot of us women today. She
Yes.
had 5 husbands, and the man she was with was
Ain't
not
your
her.
husband either. That's right.
So Yeah. I took my own situations and the inspiration from John 4 to help me in that process of writing it.
When I tell you preaching tonight, Lene is going in tonight. I think Lene is probably got a she got a sanctified walk dance around the house or something right now. Lene, welcome to Speak Up Sis YouTube channel, Lene. I hope that you are subscribed, and I would love to see you in this space on a regular basis.
Yes, yes,
How you doing, Tinker Bell? Thank you for joining us tonight. Tinker Bell says, "Talk about it." So
yes, yes.
listen, I love everything you just said. It is all rooted in what we do here in the Speak Up Sis space, and that is to share the word of our testimony
Hmm.
so that we can overcome and we can help other people overcome. I like when you said that initially someone called you thirsty and you was like, I'm not trying to get nobody's name, I'm not thirsty. But as the Lord began to show you some things and he began to show you yourself through your writing, you realize the thirst is on me.
Exactly. It was. And to be quite honest, it still is because you're constantly wanting something and desiring something. It's just all about what that is and what you're using to help you quench that thirst. You always are gonna want something. You're always gonna want relationships. You want love, and if there's someone who says they don't, they're lying because we all want something and desire something. So it just I realized that as I'm writing my book that my childhood traumas played a part in it. Some of the things that I went through in school played a part in it, and I realized I was longing for love. I
Mm,
wanted the attention. I wanted someone to see me and love me for me, even if that meant that I gave up pieces of myself. And I that's a hard pill to swallow when you realize that that really wasn't what you were supposed to do, and that it was not a person that can satisfy the thirst, that it's Jesus, and he will show you along the way what you need the most, and that is living water. And so yeah, so it was just a learning experience in writing it. It's just like I said, I realized rejection and all of that plays a part because when you're rejected sometimes and you want people to like you and love you, you are sometimes try to fit in with them,
mm-hmm,
knowing that you weren't raised like that, knowing that you don't need to be doing all that, but
right,
you just want to feel validated,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
it wasn't right. And I had to face that truth about me, and it was a hard pill to swallow, to
right.
realize that I had to go through all of that to realize that. So and if Jesus is impressing on your spirit about thirsty, and he says in John 7:37, if any man thirsts, let him
Mm,
come to me. What you talking about, Jesus? If any man thirsts. So when he said that, it's like, okay, there go that word thirsty again.
mm-hmm,
What is he implying? He's
right.
coming from the same place as you wanting something and desiring something and longing for something that you need to find in him. It's a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual thing. It's spiritual. It's deep.
Don't make me shout up in here because listen, we can go there tonight. We can go.
Yes.
I think that's where you. I think that's where you want to take it. We can go there. I
Yeah,
promise you.
because
I
I
promise you, we can go there because as I think about this, and I love the title of the book, "Thirsty Soul Confessions," um, because and I also like the analogy of thirst, and if we actually work that analogy out, the truth is that a person who is extremely thirsty, longing for water, longing for the hydration of water, right? Because you can die of thirst. You
you can.
let's rock with it.
Yes.
You can die of thirst. And so if you're in a place where you are so hungry for love, you are so hungry, right, for companionship. You are so hungry. You're so thirsty for all of, for this fulfilling of something that you just don't know what it is. Then you may feel like you're going to die if you
Yeah.
don't get it.
I
And
gotta have
so
it. I gotta have it.
if, exactly. And so
Hmm.
if you're thirsty, if there isn't water, if there's no clean water, guess what? you will drink whatever. Do you know what is it? The Mariner's Tale? It's slipping my brain, but I want to say it's the Mariner's Tale where the sailors are on the ship. You cannot drink ocean water.
Nope.
You get thirsty enough on that ship, you'll try to drink little bits of it. Eventually, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
It'll
Whatever
kill you.
yeah, you're gonna drinking the wrong thing can definitely kill you. You need the right things to quench your thirst. And too much of a good thing is bad. Because if I'm thirsty, and I actually use some comparisons to from the natural thirst of us being thirsty for real for a drink in my book. And when you're thirsty, you have the option to choose what you want when you're thirsty.
Yeah.
You could choose some soda, you could choose some milk, you could choose anything that you want to drink. But sometimes when you drink those things, you will feel more thirsty than before. But if you drink water, purified water, it will scientifically water quenches your thirst longer than soda and juice and all of those things that you can have. Surely they'll satisfy your thirst for a little while, yes, but they're not going to quench it like water will. So you need, and I compare the living water, Jesus, as purified water. It refreshes you, it toxifies you. I mean, it detoxifies you. It cleans you out. It cleans your spirit. That is the water that I'm talking about. That is what living water is. And so, if you need that living water to survive, it's definitely essential for your survival. You definitely need it to survive, and you just need to quench that thirst with the right thing. You can
Mm,
have anything you want, but there's going to be some repercussions for the wrong things, if you keep
right.
on quenching it with the wrong thing. You can choose what you want,
Mm-hmm.
but when you choose the right things to be thirsty for, then your thirst will be satisfied.
Oh,
And that is what living water is. So yeah.
y'all didn't know y'all were going to tune in tonight and get a whole word, did you? I didn't. I know you never know what you're going to get when you show up for conversations that connect on Speak Up Sis Talk
Mhm.
Show. Tonight, I have here with me um, author Tonya Talesha, and she is the author of Thirsty Soul Conversation. Excuse me, Thirsty Soul Confessions
Mhm. In spirit and in truth.
in spirit and in truth.
Yes.
So let's talk about the book a little bit.
Okay.
It's a memoir, right? So you
Yes.
are talking about you. How is it set up? What can people expect? If someone says they want to take a look at the book and grab it, what can they expect from the book?
But from start to finish, I just start out from the start explaining what thirsty is. I actually confessed in the beginning that I am thirsty. And from that statement, I begin to explain what I'm talking about. I
Hmm.
define what thirst is from the natural to the spiritual. I
Hmm.
talk about where that thirst came from: childhood rejection, things I
Mm,
went through in school, in my home life. I had my dad. My dad was always there. He was always there. He was a great man, but I didn't have the father daughter talks that I should have had. But he worked all the time. He was a hard worker, a great man, a good man, good father. And it's no disrespect to him, rest his soul. But I didn't have the lot like the father daughter talks with him. And I realized that attention that I needed from him, I was looking for in other men. So
got
it started from there, and I carried that on in relationships with men, looking for what I wanted from my dad, that attention and someone to talk and love me and tell me they love me. So I talk about that, and I talk about some of the relationships that I've been in, and some of them are I don't get so detailed, but it's enough tea about my relationships to know, ooh, this girl was doing the most and she's thirsty.
right.
Ultimately, to the revelation of being thirsty, and the woman at the well in John 4, how she had the five husbands, and she had a man that she was living with that wasn't even hers, and Jesus had to meet her. He had to in John 4:4, he had to go to Samaria to meet this woman, to let her know that she was doing too much and she needed to stop and have this living water. And that is why she's thirsty. He don't really dwell on what
Hmm.
she been through, or how it started. He didn't even dwell on. He met her right where she is,
Yep.
right where she was, and he told her what she needed to do, what she needed. There was an exchange.
Yep.
And like I said, I talk about that in the book, and leading, and then I also ended with talking about how thirst and lust, they're not the same things. I don't lust for Jesus, and
Mm.
so if I don't quench my thirst, quite naturally my flesh will become lust in love and all of that stuff. But thirst is a form of love, because it's like a longing and a craving. So you're looking for love. It's not necessarily lust, and that's what you have to realize. So I break that down, and then I end it with asking the forgiving myself for all of my past things. So
I love it. And
yeah.
that's interesting what you just said. I think it's a good point. You said thirst isn't lust. And that's important. And we're not going to give them all the book. They need to read
Okay.
it. I'm just saying. Tinkerbell says, after reading, I had to do a self-assessment.
Oh wow.
That's what a good book does. If you're reading a book that is a self-improvement book, or it's some type of memoir, or something where someone is sharing their own story, it ought to make you take a look at yourself
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself some questions. Am I like this person? Am I different from this person? Am I doing these things? What is similar to this person or different from this person, or whatever? A good one will make you sit down and take a look at yourself. Tinkerbell also made another comment. I like you too, Tinkerbell. If you are not already subscribed to the Speak Up Sis YouTube channel, I would like for you to do that right now and join the Speak Up Sis community right here on YouTube. We're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a new Christian self-published or indie author, so that you all can meet them, fall in love with them, and then patronize them and purchase their books. So Tinkerbell says natural water for the physical, living water for the spiritual. Not having both can lead to death. You know what? We talk about this sometimes in Chrysalis. We have the morning moments with believers. It's the space within our women's only community. And we have talked about making sure we understand that we are all humans are spirit, we live in bodies, and we possess souls.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
because here's the thing, that woman was at the well getting water. She still needed natural water.
She did. Yeah.
People say, I don't need no man out. Yeah, we do need people.
Mm-hmm.
We do. We do. But our thirst shouldn't be for natural things, for temporal things, right?
Yes.
To say I don't need people, well, that's not true. There
Nope.
is a physical need that needs to be taken care of as well as a spiritual, right?
Exactly.
And when
Yeah.
you don't have them, you're gonna find yourself in some odd situations. So that's a great comment, Tinkerbell. We could have a
I
whole
love it.
set
Yes.
just by itself. Just
Yes.
by itself. Ashley says, very powerful. Thank you for joining us. That's Ashley Bingham. She's also an author. She was on our platform last week, actually.
Okay.
And so thank you for joining us tonight, Ashley. And Lene says, for giving. Yes, yes, yes. So listen, everybody, we're at the end of the show. Can you even believe it?
I can't. It went by quick. I
I always
enjoyed it.
tell people this time is like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I'm
So
like,
what
wow,
I
it's
would
already
like,
over.
yeah, so what I would like to do, prior to you sharing how people can access you and all those things, I like to leave my guests or allow my guests to leave us with the last word. Do you have something encouraging or inspiring, that you would like to share with people
Hmm.
before we leave?
If you're looking for love, and because we all need love, and we all are wanting love, that's why we go in relationships. You should start reading the book of John. And although you still need, like the guest, like the commenter said, you do need that natural. You still need that natural water. However, read the book of John, especially John 4 with the woman at the well and how he offered her living water. And I just pray that you would get inspired, because the book of John, the whole book of John, is like a love letter to everyone to quench their spirit. So, yeah, just read John 4, especially John 4:13 through 14, when he offered that living water. And anyone who needs that living water can definitely find it in him. And yeah,
I love it. I'm a big fan of John, of the book of John as well. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go there because I could be here
yes,
all night long. But we'll have a whole Bible study tonight. But we ain't gonna do that.
that
And
would be amazing. I would love it. Yes, I would love it. Yes.
I I I I like to lead people to the book of John as well.
Hmm.
And I don't think people realize that each one of the four gospels is designed to show you a different, give you a different understanding of Jesus. Jesus as the perfect man,
Yes.
right? Jesus as the deity of Christ, Jesus as the Messiah. Each gospel is giving similar accounts, but what's
Yes.
being accounted helps people to see a different part of him. And the book of John
Oof.
allows you to see the deity of Christ.
Yes. So amazing. Oh my
That
God.
book is designed for you to not see Jesus as the perfect man with no sin, or any of those things which the other gospels do.
Hmm.
The book of John is designed, and the miracles that are shared there are shared so that you can see that he was and is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. So if you
Yes.
have not read the book of John, read it in its entirety. And if you are dealing with being thirsty, check it out. And I told you you don't
Yes.
have the last word, but you told me to keep going. So
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. I'm enjoying listening, because you have an understanding of what I want others to see from the spiritual aspect of thirst. That it comes from our natural thirst, but the spiritual, we just really trying to quench that spiritual thirst and don't even know it. So
that's right.
it's deep. It's just deeper than we think. And a lot of people, you have to be honest with yourself, be transparent, and get to that point like, why am I like this? So that's what you have to just ask yourself, and God will hit your spirit, and he will give you the truth. And it's in spirit and truth that we worship God. And that's where I got the subtitle for Thirsty Soul Confessions: in spirit and in truth. It's in spirit and in truth that you can even face the truth. So, and that you can begin to change and
Yes.
heal from those traumas that have caused you to be thirsty. So yeah.
That's what's up. So
Yeah.
everybody, we've had an amazing conversation tonight. I could not have even expected that it would be this robust.
Hmm.
But I have loved every moment of it. And I
Me
thank you so
too.
much, Tonya Talesha, for coming into the space to share yourself with us, to share your book with us. And so now here comes the good stuff.
Mm.
Y'all know how we do on Speak Up This Talk Show. We want you to purchase a book. If you
Yes.
already have a book, buy another book and gift it to someone.
Yes.
Thirsty Soul Confessions is on the Speak Up Sis bookshelf. If you go to speakupsis.com/bookshelf, you will see the book. You can order it directly through there. When you click on the link, for those of you who are not familiar with the bookshelf, I don't get any proceeds. It's just a way, it's an easier way for you to access her book than trying to find it on larger platforms, because we have a niche audience and all of the books are Christian books or written by Christian authors. So if you go to speakupsis.com/bookshelf, you will click on her book. You'll see it. I believe it's under religion, and you click on the book and it'll take you directly to where you can order the book, and all of the
Yes.
proceeds go directly to her. All right.
Yeah.
So how can people connect with you and your social media spaces and things of that nature?
Well, I have an Instagram. She's thirsty underscore LLC. I have a lot of things that's coming up that you can always find and stay connected with me, especially from that Instagram page. She's thirsty underscore LLC. And also, I have a YouTube channel with the same name. She's thirsty underscore LLC. And there's, of course, my Facebook. that goes more my author name, Tonya Talesha. So you can stay connected with me. I kind of try to link all of those together and share everything on each one of those platforms. And there's more to come. So more books, more events, more outreach that I want to reach women with. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Ashley. She said this was a great conversation. Lene has been amazing. Thank you so much for your comments tonight. She says,
Thank you.
Amen. Yes, I would like to thank all of you for showing up tonight, supporting the Speak Up Sis platform, and supporting Tanya Talisha, our author for the night. Please go grab a copy of her book. Let her know that you saw her here on Speak Up Sis Talk Show Conversations that Connect. And until next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will see you later. Don't forget to open up your mouth and speak up.
All
You have
right. Thank you.
you are welcome.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.